So first, can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Mr. Clark. I'm an English teacher and Year 8 tutor at BIS School, and I've been here for about 2 years.
What inspired you to become an English teacher?
Um, I've had a love of books and reading for as long as I can remember, so that always seemed good. And then I did my degree in English literature and creative writing, um, and loved having discussions about books and plays and poetry. And then also, I've always had a good time working with young people and being with young people, so it seemed like quite a natural next step after university to train as a teacher, and found that I really enjoyed it.
Okay. How do you approach creating lessons plans to engage students in English?
Um, I try to make them as varied as possible so that we're not just doing the same thing over and over again. Um, I try and use the texts we're studying or the type of writing we do to find some connection with the students, a theme or a question or an idea that they might be interested in or engage with, and then hopefully find some varied and enjoyable activities that they can enjoy participating in, both by themselves and sometimes as in pairs and in groups.
Can you share some of your favorite teaching moments?
Favorite teaching moments. So sometimes the best moments of teaching are just when you see a little spark of recognition or excitement in a student. Sometimes it's really exciting when you've been having a class discussion and then you can see the conversation is carrying on outside the classroom, that the students are still really engaged in it. But for me, my best moments in teaching are nothing to do with the lessons that I teach. They're the moments where a student comes to talk with me because they feel safe and secure enough to share something with me, or to ask me a question that maybe they find a little bit difficult. And being that person that the students can talk to is my favorite thing about teaching.
What strategies do you use to encourage students who may be struggling with English?
Um, some strategies that when students are struggling with English, sometimes it's about taking it down to really, really slow steps. So just taking it really small steps at a time. So if we're introducing a new poem, for example, we might spend the entire first lesson just looking at the vocabulary in the poem so that everyone has a clear understanding of what it means, and we might not look at the meaning or the techniques at all in that first lesson, and just take it really slowly. Sometimes it's about getting students to approach the text of the material from a different direction. So maybe we do some visual exercise or some sort of discussion or conversation, and wait until they've found a connection there before we do anything else.
What are the challenges of teaching students whose second language is English?
So sometimes there's a lot more you have to teach in advance that you hadn't maybe considered. You try and guess what words or what phrases might cause some difficulties, and sometimes you get that wrong, which makes the text really confusing for the students. And um, sometimes even what I think are, for me, clear instructions for the students can become really difficult because I'm using phrases they're not familiar with, or I've made a reference to something that is really only from my culture. Um, so it sort of goes over their heads. So yeah, it's trying to guess a lot of the time um, where the gaps are going to be, and sometimes getting that wrong.
Okay. How do you incorporate cultural diversity into your teaching, and why do you think it's important for students to explore different cultural perspectives through English?
So we try to incorporate different cultures in that the different books and poems and plays we look at are from people of lots of different backgrounds, different races, different nationalities, different genders, different um, cultural backgrounds, different points of view. And the reason I think that's so important is because it's the exact same reason why anyone ever reads or writes a book or a poem, or because they want to show other people how they see the world. And we read because we want to put ourselves in points of view or in situations that we might never have been in and we might never be in. So there's big ones like, we'll never know what it's like to fly in outer space or fight with dragons or anything like that. But also, we need to, in smaller ways, we'll never know what it's like to see the world from someone else's point of view and someone else's perspective. And reading and writing is one of the closest ways we'll ever get to that.
Thank you
You are
for
very welcome.